You're watching Ride Like a Local with Belt Drive Betty. In this episode of Ride Like a Local, we're going to start exploring the Western motorcycle shows, Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver. I'm being joined right now by show manager Laurie Paetz. Laurie, last year we had a discussion because we thought you weren't going to be with us anymore. Lots of changes. Let's talk about that.
Well, I guess I laugh because maybe I'm like the cat with 9 lives. I just keep coming back. Maybe that's a good thing. I think it's a great thing. What a celebration. Back with motorcycle shows. I love the motorcycle industry, love the motorcycle shows. And yeah, big decision personally in my world to join a different company, but no looking back, only looking forward.
This year's shows are filled with a little bit of trepidation thanks to the oil patch and all of the challenges that are being faced right now. Yet, again, here in Edmonton, the place is packed. How do you explain that?
You know what, it's nice because I think it's show behind the scenes. It's sometimes the dealers, the manufacturers, definitely the show producers that were feeling a little bit of that uncertainty as we came into it. But what's wonderful is the consumer vibe. They're not talking about it. There's no negativity. There's no doom. It really is still a celebration.
I'm being joined right now by Don Galloway, who happens to be part of CycleWorks and also a part of the Alberta Vintage Motocross Association. Tell me a little bit about some of these beautiful machines we're looking at here.
Well, the booth we have today is a combination of two of the clubs in Edmonton, the Alberta Vintage Motocross Club and the Alberta Vintage Flat Track Club. So we've got machines, typically they're like pre-85 that we're racing right now, and everything from mid-60s and up, so we kind of have quite a variety of technology there. You know.
Now, a little bit different between motocross riding and flat track riding. So how did the two groups come together?
Well, a lot of us are, back in the day, you had one bike and you rode everything. You rode hill climbs and flat tracks and cross countries in all likelihood. So the only thing that would change likely is the scars you got at the end of the day. Of course, with specialization through the 70s and 80s, they all broke up. And so most of us come from a pretty much a motocross background or cross country. And then the flat track, well, about 8 years ago, we got an opportunity you need a track for a flat track. We were able to secure a track in Thorhild, and we sprouted a little vintage flat track club because we all for years wanted to try that. So we've got a group of both type of riders around now. So
now I've watched some of the craziness that goes on in flat track racing. Let's talk just a little bit about the kind of motorcycle and the setup you really want to have when you're flat track racing.
Well, it depends on the class. I've got everything from a 200 to a 750, and they typically started life as a street bike or somebody's little dirt bike, but what you'd land up doing, basically take the front brake off, lower the bike down, stiffen the suspension. You typically would run a 19-inch tire, and then we try to hop the motors up, so higher compression, lumpier cam, and would put a quick change rear wheel on so we can change the gearing really fast, because depending on the length of the track, that's the big variation, or the conditions. You want to get the gearing to be right on, so once you're shifted up off a start, you stay in the same gear all the way around the track.
Now, you're blessed to have a Hall of Famer in the booth with you in the form of Steen Hansen. And Steen's been around this community, 40, 50 years now easily. What would you say his biggest accomplishment or the biggest thing that he's brought to this sport would be?
Well, Steen's contribution is, of course, probably enthusiasm. He went out, first came to the Canada as a motorcycle rider because that was transportation in his homeland, and then joined the local motorcycle club, the Edmonton Motorcycle Club, and then once he of course wanted to make a living in the motorcycle industry, then he had to sell the dream to everybody else. You need to own one of these bikes so you can do this. So Steen was an ambassador in most genres. He rode all these back in the day. Again, flat track, hill climb, all that. But he also enabled people to. He sold them good product, clothing, accessories, and motorcycles, and helped them to engage in whatever sport they wanted to. And so as an ambassador, he's 80 some odd years old now, and he still rides like 2 classes a day when he goes to motocross, and he always wins because typically there's nobody else in the class. As his mother-in-law says, like, that's not very good, but he's out there, he's riding, and he's in slow. He's a very accomplished rider, so we love to have him around.
Yourself, what's your history as a rider?
Well, I met Steen. I started work at Alberta Cycle as a kid, 1972. I was in grade 11, and Steen sponsored one of my bosses, Ed McDonald, and I attended the motocross races and the flat tracks and whatnot, rode around with the guys. My parents wouldn't let me race, but once, got to 21 years of age, and I went from going to university and engineering, I took the plunge, went back into the industry, and have been in it ever since. So I've raced snowmobiles, motorcycles, ATVs. I'm the only Canadian three-wheeler supercross champion that's ever been awarded, because three-wheelers got outlawed after that. And I participated in the industry racing and as a dealer or a service rep or something in the industry since 1982. So
that's a long career. Obviously, a huge love of motorcycling and the outdoors.
Yeah, I on the farm, everybody back in this, late 60s, early 70s, everybody had a motorcycle. They were cheap, lots of small bikes around. So, and I was handy at fixing things, so I became like the go-to guy to fix things. So, actually, by the time I got to Alberta Cycle, I was almost a full-fledged mechanic. So, I was like 15 years old, and they were paying me mechanics' wages because I could go toe-to-toe with anybody in the shop. I'd already been wrenching on bikes for, like 6 or 7 years, so.
Besides the motorcycle itself, what is it that you enjoy the most about your flat track and motocross weekends?
It's great to get together with the guys. The nice thing about the vintage thing is it's not very serious. We definitely have opportunity to ride. There's several other motocross clubs, and the reason the old timers got started is because the CMRC was too serious, I guess. Lots of races to attend, and you had to be there at 6 in the morning, and you go till 6 at night, and so the old timers sprung up, and then the old timers now is to the point where they're 2-day weekends, and there's lots of classes, and you got to be there early in the morning. So the vintage thing, we can show up at noon and ride till 3, and we can ride all we want. The trick is you still want to ride lots, maybe. Some of the guys don't ride. I want to ride lots. Steen wants to ride lots. But you can, and if you want to go fast, you go chase Stan Currington around, like he's, ex-Canadian champion. So, it's not the lack of competition. It is just we're able to do it at whatever level we want, and you don't feel like you haven't tried. And then the rest of us, we're exchanging parts or learning how to fix things, or where to find another bike that you're looking for. Everybody wants to have the bike they started out on, and so it's just a real fun deal, and that kind of is the impetus for the vintage, clubs, and the CVMG provides the same thing for people that are road riders. So.
So my last question for you is, how would people, if they wanted to get involved with the vintage motocross or the flat track, how would they get a hold of you guys?
Well, we have a Facebook page for both clubs. Most of the shops around town know who we are or somebody that's involved. So the easiest thing would, and you certainly any CycleWorks store, you could ask for Don Galloway, but. It is fairly prevalent in the province. We have members in Calgary too, fairly large contingent there, and guys from all over the province. So, just go out and ask, and whether it's the CVMG or the Vintage Motocross Club or the Alberta Flat Track Association, there's a lot of us belong to all three clubs, and you spend time at, doing all of those activities. So.
Do you guys have websites?
Yeah, we all have websites, but the Facebook might be the easiest way to find it. But the website would be Alberta Vintage Flat Track Association, or Alberta Vintage Motocross Club. So.
Perfect. Well, thank you for taking a little time with me, and I think we'll have to go and get Steen now and see if we can put him in front of a camera. What do you think?
Yeah, well, Steen's a great ambassador for the sport, and I thank you, Betty, for giving us the opportunity to speak out about it, because we just like to have lots of people come out and have fun. So.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you. And what I'm noticing out on the floor more and more and more is the amount of women that are out there. Every year the presence of the female rider seems to gain a strong hold, and this year in Edmonton, I'm going to say quite comfortably 50% of the participants here are female.
Absolutely. It's fantastic to see, and really more and more educated. You can really see that they're asking technical questions, and listening and seeing the women last night coming out for ladies' night, and not even that, they're here on Saturday in full force, and you can see that they're coming down with their girlfriends. They're not afraid to even come in on a loan, and it's fantastic to see that, like you just said, women are coming into the industry in tenfold, and it's awesome to see that the manufacturers are continuing to recognize that by making a little bit smaller bikes, if a woman chooses to have that. Because sometimes we have a smaller frame, might not fit those big bikes, and manufacturers recognize that. They know the power of a woman shopper, so and they want, and we know what we want as a woman, right? Yeah. We're very decisive. We know exactly what we want. We come in, and it's fantastic for the industry as a whole.
Now, again, this year we've got the evolution of Extreme that has happened. We've got some different riders that have participated this year, and the show, that aspect of the show has managed to take it up another notch. How have you managed to attract such talented riders to this?
Again, I think it's because of the crowds. I really do believe it's for the enthusiasm here in Alberta. Calgary, Edmonton, we have such passionate people that come to the shows, and they're coming in, 2 Alberta shows, and we're bringing in 65,000 people. It really is astounding what we can deliver here in Alberta. So, the talent, they know it. They know that the enthusiasm is there. They want to show it off, and it's been fantastic. It kind of is. I've heard that down in the U.S., they're definitely talking about these Canadian shows, and we have some great Canadian enthusiasm, but also a great Canadian experience. And plus, I think they all like to snowboard in between. So we have a little snow as well. So you know what? They love extreme sports in all aspects. So they love to come here.
This year we also see a revisitation by the Alberta Trials riders. That's been kind of different. The Second Gear Club has often done the trials demonstration. So nice to see the Alberta Trials riders back. The Yamaha Riding Academy is back. And this year we have the old timers. Yeah. The Alberta Flat Track and Motocross old timers. Again, a nice diverse offering.
We try and keep it so that it appeals to all ages and stages. Whether, we thought by bringing the Alberta Trials Riders Association in, it would give everyday people the option if they wanted to take up the sport. It's wonderful to see a champion like Jordan do trials because he makes it look so easy. But some people then go, well, he's a champion. I don't know if I can do that. Whereas when you have people that are even just learning, children doing it, it gives everybody the opportunity to go, hey, maybe I want to take that up. Mm-hmm. The old guys, the vintage group, they are just fun. And the stories and the history, it's fantastic to see not only how motorcycles have evolved, but the passion that has gone into restoring some of these absolutely astounding, beautiful machines. So, yeah.
I'm being joined right now by legend Steen Hansen. And Steen has been around the motorcycle community in the Edmonton area pretty much since you came from Denmark.
Since 1960.
I remember I used to shop in your store a lot when I lived in Edmonton. So Steen, tell me what it was like to be finally honored by the Canadian Motorcycle Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think, what was the holdup? But no, we were really honored, my wife and me, to be that with all the inductees for the Hall of Fame, and I can't say enough for the people there. The Husqvarna people was one of the main sponsors from Florence, from Montreal, and he flew us down there.
Wow.
He flew us down there for the weekend and had a presentation, the old and new Husqvarna. And I had to make a presentation and talk about the old bikes from when I was a distributor for them.
Right.
And now they look like they're going to give me a bike to ride.
How old are you now, Steen?
Going 78.
78. So Al Perret and Kamloops, and you two characters have done a little bit of head-to-head in your racing days. So let's take a step back in time and reminisce a little bit. Do a bit of bench racing.
Now, Al Perret phoned me up. It was in the middle of the winter, and he says there's a team race in Mission, BC. I say, okay, Al. It's a good friend of mine, Al and Shirley.
Yeah.
I'll make the bikes up, and I'll pick you up for such and such a time. So I loaded up the bikes, going through the winter storm down to Kamloops. Where's Al? He's not ready. And opened his equipment bag, and he had been in Italy before. The maggot is crawling out of his equipment bag. We never got out of there before 12 o'clock at night. But then he was happy because we won the team race. So he was pretty happy by that. But I know Al Perret right from a long, long time. For all the endurance races, we did a lot of endurance races and a lot of motocross together. So yeah, it was pretty good.
After a few words from our sponsors, we're going to take a quick detour down memory lane with Terry Ray. The Sports Camera Store in West Edmonton Mall is your one-stop shop for drift and GoPro action cameras. We carry Canada's largest selection of action cam accessories, along with video sunglasses, hidden and surveillance cameras, and more. Visit www.sportscamerastore.com or stop into our West Edmonton Mall location, lower level by the bay. Canada's most rider-friendly community, where is it? Is it Carman, Marystown, Viking? Where in this vast land is Canada's most rider-friendly community? Help us discover that special community at riderfriendlycontest.ca.
Of all the bikes that he owned, this was his favorite.
Why?
He thought that the knucklehead engine was such an advancement of its time that it was going to bring Harley Davidson well into the future, which it did. Now, what you're looking at, this is a 36 model. There was a small problem with the oiling system in them that they tidied up for 37, but Trev still liked the 36 because it was the beginning. And this particular bike in this paint scheme was his favorite. And whenever he would do an interview, he would do it sitting on this bike. So any pictures you ever see of Trev, you will always see him sitting on this. And the paint job is, that is the original colors from the factory. They put a lot of work into making this as original as possible. And we never got to start it. Although Trev did say he did ride it, but I have my doubts. But that is his favorite motorcycle.
The history of the 36 and that whole knucklehead engine, can we go into that a little?
I think what they did was they were looking for a modernization, which the overhead valves were going to be. And automobiles up to that time, most of them were flatheads. The only people that had overhead valves in their automobiles was General Motors. And it was a 6-cylinder inline. It wasn't until 1953-54 where Ford started making overhead valve V8s for their cars.
Right.
So this was quite a long ways ahead of their time. And it is basically, it's not much different than a lot of other Harleys, except the fact that the engine is now an overhead valve. Efficiency.
Right. We've seen our past. Now let's head back to the motorcycle shows and see our future.
First time on an electric motorcycle?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
No?
Awesome. But you're familiar with Harley Davidson?
Oh, absolutely. I own a 2010 Ultra.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So like your Ultra, this is keyless. There is an electronic key fob, so you're pretty much ready to get started.
Okay.
I'll be walking you through it, but let me know if you have any questions
Okay.
about the experience. So there you go. You've just booted up your computer.
Mm-hmm.
The controls you can see are similar to just general Harley Davidson controls.
Mm-hmm.
So the computer is now showing you basic information about your motorcycle. You can see how much battery power you've got left. We're at 92% right now. You can see your battery voltage, your battery temperature, your ECU temperature. And then you can always play around with the setup options. There are a whole bunch of them. It's pretty advanced. Computer screen. So the first step to initiating your ride is to select one of two different ride modes.
Okay.
You've got your range mode and you've got your power mode. They're pretty self-explanatory, right? The range mode maximizes your battery efficiency and maximizes the distance that you're able to cover. And the distance that you can cover is pretty much indicated in each mode. So you can see that in power mode you get about half the distance, but probably about double the power.
Right.
So because we want to make this experience last, and because we're on these rollers, we do want to limit our power, so we will select range mode for today. And it's a touchscreen, so you can go ahead.
Okay.
And the last step, exactly, you're already on top of it. So the last step to initiate your ride, the equivalent of an ignition on this motorcycle. Yep, hold it down when this goes to 0, you can let go. A couple other cool features. Again, you've got your navigation here. You can easily change from kilometers to miles. So you can play around with the touchscreen there. But you're pretty much ready to go. A couple other things to keep in mind about this motorcycle is while you have your front brake and your rear brake, on this bike, you don't actually need them. You can fully control the speed with the throttle.
Yeah, I see that.
Going up, down, you can come to a complete stop easily just with the throttle. The other thing to keep in mind is you're getting even acceleration, optimized acceleration, all the way up to top speed. So you're getting linear acceleration essentially. You never need to downshift for that extra kick and power on this bike. You can just give it and it goes. And just try to keep it under 100 kilometers an hour for safety purposes because we're on this setup. Have some fun, Renee. Let me know if you have questions.
That feels pretty good.
Try to hover it at around 50.
Almost though, your acceleration and deceleration are immediate.
Immediate, yeah. Well, exactly. There's no delay, right? The power, you're getting that immediate power.
Yeah, it's that electric and it's immediate torque.
Yeah, exactly.
Immediate torque. Like I can imagine how snaky this would be on the road.
Oh yeah. This is not, not exactly a beginner motorcycle either because you have to be.
You have to be sharp.
Handle this power. Take it to around 50 or 60, hover it there, and then really punch it from there just to see how quickly it shoots up.
Okay. Boy, is that touchy. Holy shite! Holy!
Right away, right?
125, just like that.
Exactly. You never need to be distracted worrying about downshifting. That extra step is essentially eliminated. Just punch it and it goes.
Man, would that ever be fun to ride out on the street?
Tell me about it.
Well, thank you. That is an experience and a half. That is absolutely, and as a long distance rider, I can't wait till you got decent battery range on these. Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Growing communities one idea at a time is Community Futures Grand Prairie and Region, providing business planning, cash flows, market research, and business loans. Visit www.cfofgp.com to see how we can help you. Canada's most rider-friendly community, where is it? Is it Carman, Marystown, Viking? Where in this vast land is Canada's most rider-friendly community? Help us discover that special community at riderfriendlycontest.ca.
I'm being joined right now by Jonathan from Kimpex, and he's going to explain to us some of the advantages of some of their new products for the 2015 riding season. So where are we going to start today?
So today we're going to start with the Oxford Aqua 50 bag. This is basically the perfect bag for anyone who wants to go on their motorcycle, no matter the conditions they're going to encounter. Basically, this bag has all the straps to make sure it stays really tight on your bike so it won't move around. Also, it's 100% waterproof with all the stitching and zip being covered to make sure that no water will ever enter the bag.
So tell me how they've accomplished the waterproofing.
Basically, it's in the material used for the bag. This material incorporates a membrane will make sure that no water will ever come in the bag.
Wow, that's awesome. Now you've got a 50-gallon bag, and what's this one here?
We also have the smaller 30 bag available in black and white for both. Next up, we're going to look at the Magna Night Eye jacket. Basically, this jacket really looks like any jacket when you look at it at the daytime, but if you put it through some light and darkness, you'll see that it really lights up. So it'll allow you to always be seen and make sure that even cars will always see you. This jacket is pretty standard, comes with all CE protection for elbows and shoulders, also has a place to put back protection, adjustable at the cuffs and even at the bottom of the jacket. Also, its membrane will make sure that you'll always stay dry when riding in rain. This jacket is offered at $399.99 retail price, available at any good Kimpex dealers. For more information, you can visit kimpex.com.
Hello, this is Troy Bond. I am here on behalf of Kimpex to represent, talk a little bit about the Bell Pit Boss. The Bell Pit Boss has been out now for a couple years. I'm just going to go over some simple features, what you get with the helmet. So the helmet has the removable liner, which you can also put in your communication system with the pockets inside. Easy zip off, removable liner. It also has the drop down RSV, which comes in different colors, I guess, that you can change. And as well as a nice feature is the speed dial. Very innovative system that Bell launched out, which pretty much reduces 99% of helmet lift. So when you still fit your helmet with your D-rings, you can just dial this right in. Very simple to fit, very comfortable. Price point on this, suggested retail is for $169, unless you look at something like a carbon fiber, which you go up to $279. Comes in extra small, medium, large, and double extra large. And I also wanted to mention that Bell offers a 5-year limited warranty on all their products. And you can check out any of the Bell helmets on kimpex.com, and you can also use the very simple dealer locator to find an awesome dealer located near you.
I was absolutely blessed yesterday to have the opportunity to talk with Steen Hansen. He's a Canadian Hall of Famer, motorcycle Hall of Famer, and you know, you're right, the stories. You look back in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the way the motorcycle has evolved since the late 1800s to today's date. And the one common thread that everybody talks about is the sense of community that motorcycle brings.
Absolutely. And we can see it. I mean, what I love is our association rows where you can see people come in for this yearly experience because it's indoors. We all know that everybody has their favorite rides that they participate in and their favorite clubs that they're riding with. But this is sort of like the indoor aspect. And really, that's what it is. It's a community. Whether it's the large whole community of the motorcycle industry as a whole, or whether it's a small gathering of 2 people, 2 riders, and taking an adventure experience. We have a couple of adventures and hearing their stories. It really is all about the stories. And, you know, let's face it, when we all leave this, that's what we've left behind is our mark of our stories.
Join me next time as we continue exploring the 3 Western motorcycle shows, Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver.